Unfortunately, the narcissistic boss rarely gets taken down because they manage to get the higher ups wrapped around their little finger. And in fact, they usually end up moving up the ladder. And in this video, I will explain why this happens. I will also reveal what I believe is the biggest misconception about narcissistic bosses. I'm Lise Leblanc. I've been working as a therapist for over 20 years and as a life coach for more than a decade. I post videos every week on topics related to mental health and relationships. And if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. So some key signs that your boss has high narcissistic tendencies versus, just being a jerk are that they never ever issue a genuine apology or take any responsibility for their part in anything that goes wrong, even though they're the leader. They will immediately distance themselves from the problem, blame someone else, deflect, deny, and outright lie to prove that it wasn't their fault. As the leader, they will take all of the credit for things that go well, but none of the blame, responsibility, or accountability for anything that goes wrong. In circumstances where they do pretend to take responsibility or apologize for something, it's only for show and always followed by, however, it was really someone else's fault. They do not accept criticism, responsibility, or accountability, period, and they're always right. Your mistakes, however, will be harshly punished and remembered forever. They'll be used to devalue you, and they'll take pleasure in breaking you down without any remorse or regret. They are constantly seeking to have their egos inflated, and you quickly realize that everything is all about them. Not about the employees, not about the clients, not about the organization or the community, even though that's what they'll act and pretend it's all about. You quickly start to see that they see themselves as the center of the universe, as the superhero of the story, and their sense of superiority and entitlement becomes more and more obvious as time goes on. Another key sign that you have a narcissistic boss is that you feel like you have to document everything and start recording conversations. And while documenting things is a good idea, just know that they will forge their own documentation and find fake witnesses to corroborate their false information. So at first, your narcissistic boss probably seemed great. You got lots of promises, quick trust, and they are often competent, driven, charismatic, intelligent, and depending on the type of work environment, they may even be acting like an extremely caring and compassionate person. And this is often the case in organizations that are related to social services, healthcare, or other helping professions. In the corporate world, not so much. But the point is, they may have had you believing that working for them would be awesome. And you may have had a wonderful honeymoon stage where everything seemed perfect or almost perfect. Maybe you did start to notice that they were trash talking others or being mean, but you were led to believe that it was because those were the bad employees. But then as time goes on, you start to realize more and more that the employees are not the problem. You start seeing the narcissistic boss's lack of integrity, their lies, and it can be super disappointing because it doesn't meet what you thought it would be. And then they turn on you. Most narcissistic bosses are smart, well-educated, and have learned to behave in socially appropriate ways in public. They've learned to fake empathy, to appear helpful and interested in others, so they can often hide in plain view. Now, this does not mean that they are a covert or vulnerable narcissist, and this is the biggest misconception about narcissistic bosses, in my opinion. The covert narcissist, although harder to detect, is not usually keen on leadership roles. Unlike the overt narcissist who is extroverted and loves the spotlight, The covert narcissist is introverted, anxious, incredibly sensitive to criticism, pessimistic, anxious, and they prefer to be the one doing the complaining rather than taking the complaints. Where the overt narcissist is assertive, overconfident, unemotional, and aggressive in their approach, like bulldozers, the covert narcissist is passive aggressive. They are avoiders, hiders. They like to wreak havoc in subtle ways. They don't go straight for the jugular like the overt narcissist boss. The covert narcissist doesn't like to be in leadership roles because they don't want to be responsible for anything or anyone. They want to be the victim. And if they do end up in leadership roles, it's usually in highly cerebral work environments like sciences, engineering, or academia, for example. And when a boss is a covert narcissist, they are usually hiding in their office, not dealing with any of the problems that are going on in the workplace. They're avoiding people, avoiding meetings. They're always late and too busy. They're disorganized, and they leave people to fend for themselves. Where the overt narcissist, on the other hand, is quick to implement solutions, take credit for everyone's ideas. The overt narcissistic boss is usually very competent, organized, and they always look good. The covert narcissistic boss is cynical about any kind of change. They're not open to ideas and very disagreeable. They need a lot of reassurance, and if they feel injured by you, they will hold their resentments forever. And they will get their revenge in very subtle ways over a long period of time, and always in ways that you can't prove. Now, this sneaky style of manipulation often causes people to believe that their boss is a covert narcissist or vulnerable narcissist. But most narcissistic bosses are overt or grandiose narcissists that have learned to behave in socially appropriate ways when they need to in order to be viewed by those that matter to them in a positive light. So that would be their boss, stakeholders, the board of directors, the public. So my point here is that just because the narcissistic boss can mask their symptoms or hide their narcissistic tendencies does not make them a covert narcissist. And sometimes people ask me, well, why does it even matter? Or, they'll say, there's too much focus on the types of narcissism. But the best way to self-preserve and protect yourself in these situations is to predict their destructive patterns of behavior and adjust your expectations and responses accordingly. And the pattern of behavior of the covert and overt narcissist are very different, even though their end goals are the same. So for more information on how to identify, deal, and cope with someone with narcissistic personality disorder or high narcissistic tendencies, check out my NPD playlist. And if you like this video, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel.